What is your definition on cultural appropriation and what do you think it means in society?
Cultural appropriation. Honestly, I think that cultural appropriation is when people kind of take aspects of different cultures and they bring it together, but it's not really kind of highlighting the good parts about that culture and the different culture. It's kind of like bringing it in and kind of like benefiting themselves. They're not really praising what it comes from. They're just kind of like using it for their own benefit. And a lot of times it can come off as a very derogatory term.
Okay. Great answer. Hey y'all, welcome to the documentary. I'm your co-host Josh, and today we're going to be talking about cultural appropriation and what does it mean in society. So we went to the most appropriated place ever, Panda Express. First question is, what is cultural appropriation? Roll tape. So I think one aspect we can talk about is the definition of cultural appropriation. And based on a lot of interviews I had with students, I was able to find out that a lot of people think that cultural appropriation is just taking one specific aspect of the culture and not taking the whole culture into consideration as well. So they're just kind of in a way just using one aspect to fit their own self-interest.
Right. A lot of the people I interviewed seem to think that what matters when considering what is and isn't cultural appropriation is the intent and whether or not the dominant culture pays respect to the other culture.
Right.
I think it's basically taking one part of one culture and taking it and using it for yourself, your own culture. It's kind of like copy and pasting in a way.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think one thing we could probably get out of that, I think we all can agree with that, is just maybe the difference is that cultural appropriation is just looking at one aspect of it instead of trying to celebrate or look at the whole culture in general. It's kind of we said copy and paste. It's one aspect.
Right, you're taking one part of a culture and making it a commodity for you.
Exactly.
Welcome back. Now that we've talked about cultural appropriation, let's talk about cultural fusion.
Based off that, now, what do you think is the definition of cultural fusion?
I believe that's when you combine two aspects, combine two cultures,
Right.
and you combine the best parts of them. This can be food, art, history. Yeah.
Anything? Okay.
So, what do you guys think is the definition of cultural fusion? I think it's just you're taking two different cultures and you're combining them together to kind of a new thing, or certain aspects of one culture or certain aspects of another culture, and making them into one. So everything's between the two cultures is equally shared.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point. I think going off that, one example that could be is I think people only like the food, but we can talk about maybe a place like a festival. My friend in an interview, so they went to Oktoberfest that happens in his hometown, and it's an equal sharing between American culture and German culture, and both cultures just kind of combine, celebrate the greatest parts of their culture, and have a good time together. It's a huge mix of people, huge mix of food and diversity. It's a huge fusion and celebration of both cultures.
Okay.
Right, I agree. I think with cultural fusion you have an equal sort of contribution from both cultures respecting one another and creating a combined identity.
So now that we've seen two definitions of cultural appropriation and cultural fusion, let's look at two real-life examples of where this can be seen. So a while back ago, but a couple years ago, there was an incident with a prom dress, and some girl wore a kimono to prom, and there was a huge outrage on Twitter and the internet. Do you think her actions were racist or cultural appropriation or just straight up wrong, or do you think they were okay? What are your thoughts?
I think personally that the reactions to it were a little bit unnecessary. Obviously she wore the dress because she thought it was beautiful, so thinking that aspects of a person's culture are beautiful and then adopting those into your own, in this case style, I don't think was necessarily racist. Maybe in poor taste,
Right.
but not intentionally racist.
Right. And
So Chinese clothing in America is one thing, but what about when it comes to Chinese food in America?
so do you think that Panda Express is a form of cultural appropriation or cultural fusion? Why or why not?
I would say it's probably cultural appropriation. I don't consider it representing Asian food well enough to be considered fusion.
All right. Thank you.
After talking about what cultural appropriation and cultural fusion are, this leads to the question of
why does it matter?
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 So I think one topic we should talk about is cultural appropriation and why it matters in society. One thing I was thinking about cultural appropriation, it matters, it comes down to being considerate of that other culture. And we're talking about consideration, it just becomes basically being a good human being, being a good person. And I think that's a huge reason on why we should consider cultural appropriation in society and why we should think twice before we appropriate a culture in that sense.
Right, and I agree. In an increasingly global world that we live in, it's important for us to be able to identify what actions might or might not be respectful, considerate, and just empathetic to other peoples and cultures, especially since we interact with other cultures like each and every day. It's important for us to be able to recognize what is and isn't okay for us to do.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's like, it all comes down to like the person's intention. So like, are they trying to like hurt somebody, hurt a culture, or trying to make fun of it, or are they actually trying to like take part in it? Like sometimes like Muslim would like wear like a turban just to like show, like make fun of them, just like kind of show hate crimes and all that stuff. So like, or are they like, is somebody like trying to copy a culture, like trying to like take part in like a certain aspect of the culture to see what it's like and trying to just learn or experience the culture, you know? So it's like all about intention. It's not like, I don't think it's wrong. I mean, it's very debatable, but like it all depends like the person's intention.
Right. So I think one thing we can all agree on is like the reason it matters is not because of the appropriation, what he or she did in the first place, but the intention behind it, why he or she did it.
Right, I agree.